finally Friday. AG Sports. Finally, guys, we are getting close to another kickoff. One that does not involve the Jets. The game last night, if you watched it, was actually better than expected, or at least better than I expected. Now, we did get the cover. If you didn't already know this, if this is the first time you're tuning in, one of the teasers we had from earlier in the week was the Jets at Colts minus 4.5. Unfortunately, it ends up being not needed, the teaser that is. They did cover the full 10, I think was the closing number. So, it works for people who bet the Colts outright. We still got our key number at that point, so we had still gotten, the 10, the 7, and the 6. So either way, we get the cover on that side. Now we just need the Bills to go ahead and cover their end, which is the Bills minus 8.5. And we at least have half of that teaser in the bag already. So that's always good. Again, if you didn't watch the game, there was a lot of scoring, and really I didn't expect that on the part of the Jets. I knew the Colts were going to go out there and put up some numbers. Really, who we expected to show up, showed up, which was Jonathan Taylor. Now, as far as the props are concerned, the ones that I actually ended up laying any money on was really Jonathan Taylor and Mo Alley Cox. Jonathan Taylor, unfortunately, I didn't put the anytime touchdown because the odd was minus 250 or minus 235. I had put him as a first touchdown. Obviously, that didn't hit, so that kind of pissed me off because I had even been eyeballing Nyheim Hines, and he is the one who got the first touchdown. But what are you going to do? That's why those props, you make them relatively smaller bets, and they do pay out pretty nicely, especially if you're getting these that are plus 1,000. Like the Mo Alley Cox first touchdown was plus 1,300. The great thing is, if you bet, let's say $20 each time, you're probably going to lose, 3, 4, 5. But you hit one and you make up all the money you lost, plus you're still going to make a profit, plus, of course, you're getting the money back for that particular bet. That's the way that I like to play the props. I don't play with really, really large numbers. I don't put a full unit or anything on a prop. It's a lot like horse racing if anybody in here is into that. If you are into horse racing, exactas, trifectas, you're not hitting those every single race. You're probably going to get, a trifecta or a superfecta or a 3 for 3 or whatever, once a month or so, but the payout on those is more than worth it. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at the props. Aside from that, though, really not much else I took away from that. I know Mike White did get hurt in that. I don't know if that really showed us anything other than he's okay as a quarterback, but I'm not holding my breath on him, not picking him up in fantasy or anything like that. But anyways, enough of that game. Let's go ahead and move forward to what's going on this coming Sunday. Saturday, again, keep in mind the Canelo fight is obviously still going to happen. Under 9.5 rounds is still where I'm at. I've heard some other people saying that they think the fight's going to go the distance. Totally see that too. I hear their arguments, and it's not invalid. I just don't think it's going to happen. Let's get into some props. Just again, since we're kind of on that note already, the Packers game, which is this Packers-Chiefs game, the line has moved, first of all, because when it first opened up, it was at minus 6.5 in a lot of spots, and there's only 2 spots that was open. And then as it started opening in other spots, and people realized that Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to be playing, it got bet up to Chiefs minus 8 and maybe even 8.5, depending on what your book was. That number has come back down, and right now it's at 7 for Jordan Love, as a quarterback with the Packers. One thing that really concerns me with this is, regardless of who the quarterback is, we're really not sure if we're going to have Devontae Adams in this game or not. At least not as I'm recording this. If he's not playing, I don't really like anybody on that receiving core. Marquez Valdes-Scantling might not even be playing. There's a lot of different questions in that receiving room. So whoever is the quarterback, I expect a heavy dose of running and a lot of just handoffs from whatever quarterback that is. Jordan Love in this case, most likely. They did sign Blake Bortles to the practice squad just in case anybody was paying attention to that. But who is going to do the most damage on the ground? If you watch the Packers beat the Cardinals, which I did, unfortunately, you saw that they actually had a pretty strong running game, or that the game plan coming in was to feature the run game. And Aaron Jones did really, really well through the air, and he did have some, success through the ground. the A.J. Dillon was the one that they were really leaning on when it came to getting the short yardage and in between the tackles, goal line, stuff like that. A.J. Dillon was doing some damage. I fully expect the Packers to have a heavy dose or heavy workload of A.J. Dillon, especially because the Chiefs have not been able to stop the run at all from anybody. If you're looking to take something in this game, again, I took the under 55. That's no longer on the board, and unless you're going to tease it, you're not going to get anywhere close to that. I don't expect that total to go that high up, regardless of how much public money comes in. If you're looking to play this game, I would be looking to play the A.J. Dillon over rushing yards. That number is not out yet. I expect it to be probably like 24.5 to maybe like 20, somewhere in that ballpark. And I really think he could still go over that. Honestly, I think even if it's at 29, he could go over that. He is averaging about 5.5 yards per carry. The Chiefs are allowing 5.5 yards per carry. So even if he only gets 6 rushing attempts, there's a very good possibility that he goes well over 30 yards. I actually expect him to get more than 6, but I'm just saying if he does only get 6, he's probably going over 24 yards. Now, another prop that I've been looking at that I've been hearing just a little bit of noise on, and again, the lines are not out yet for the prop, so it makes these a little bit harder to kind of give out, because not only are they not out, but different books are going to put them at different lines when they do put them out. So I'm going to give you the ideas here. You are going to need to be able to look at your book and say, okay, this is a line I really like, or maybe I think it's just a little bit too high or a little bit too low. But the other one is Deebo Samuel. The 49ers, the last time that they played the Cardinals, he had all of 3 receptions. And I just pull it up to show everybody. So Deebo had 3 receptions for 58 yards in that first game. You'll also notice, though, that the quarterback for that first game was Trey Lance. In this game, we're going to be seeing Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy has been really focusing on Deebo. If you watch the last game, it seems like not only is Deebo Samuel his first read, which he should be, but it seems like Garoppolo is trusting Deebo, as much as I've seen any quarterback trust a receiver. If he even thinks he's open, if he's got a foot of separation, he's going to try and jam the ball into Deebo and let Deebo go to work afterwards. This Cardinals defense, yes, it is good, but I do believe this 3 is the absolute minimum receptions that Deebo is going to have in this game. And realistically, I think he's probably going to be 6 and up. Now, again, the line has not come out. I believe the line is going to be either 4.5 or 5 as far as receptions. Sorry, again, I cannot talk. Receptions for Deebo Samuel. If it's at 5 or 5.5, I like it, but I would not lay too much juice on that. If it's like a 130, minus 130, I'm just staying away. If I get it at minus 4.5 or 4.5 receptions, that is, I love it, and I'm going to smash that play all day, every day. Secondly, if you watched the video yesterday, you noticed that I took the Patriots and the Panthers first half under 21. The initial play was at minus 120. As soon as I bet it, and literally as I was making that video, I was watching those numbers just go crazy. And what happens is, once somebody notices that there's a little bit of a discrepancy, once some sharp people come in and they play a certain number, you'll see it just get seamed way the hell down. And odds are at least one, if not more than one entity out there release this as a play. And you have just an influx of people coming and running in to get the number as soon as they can, and they bet it all the way down, and the odds go crazy, and the juice gets nuts. And what happens is, at some point, you get to the very far end of that spectrum, and the other groups, the other syndicates, the other sharps say, okay, now it's gone too low. The odds are too crazy. I need to take the other side of this. So then they'll come in, they'll pop it back up, and then eventually you get it somewhere in the middle. You might not get all the way back to where it was initially, but you get it kind of close to the middle. At this point, the under 21 is available, and again, I'm looking at Bookmaker. It's at minus 148. There's some other books out there that probably have it at a minus 135. If you did not already get in on the under 21 for the first half on the Patriots-Panthers game, I would still be looking to take that, especially if you can find it at a minus 135. Those are the plays that I'm looking at and that you may not have been in just yet. As far as just some line moves, again, just before we get to the end of the week, The Chiefs-Packers obviously still the biggest. That's a 7-point move from what we took it at, or what I took it at. The Titans-Rams -7. Now, they'd gotten bet up to Rams -8. It is back down to Rams -7, and it's actually less juice than it was when I initially got involved with this game. So if you still like the Rams -7, the juice is probably either the best or close to as good as it's going to get right now. So I'd be looking to take the Rams right now if you are interested in that side. Again, I really think the Rams do cover this, and I think it's probably going to be like a 2-score game. I'm thinking maybe like closer to 14 points as far as how, the margin of victory for the Rams. But not everybody agrees with that. Some people do believe it's going to be like a 6 or 7 point game. I see it. The Titans are a good team. I just don't understand how they're going to be moving the ball effectively. A.J. Brown is their best weapon at this point, and if he gets locked down by Jalen Ramsey, who else do they really turn to? They're an NFL team, so there's offense, there's talent on the offense all over the place. McNichols is an NFL caliber running back. They can do some damage, and I think the Titans, the coaching staff is fine. So yes, they're going to be fine, but I don't think they have the firepower to hang with the Rams, especially when their defense has just been letting everybody go crazy on them. The other line that I've seen that's really moved is the Texans-Dolphins. Tyrod got announced as the starter, so he will be starting this game on Sunday. I still think the Dolphins will win this game, but the line has moved. It was at -7. It's down to -5.5. I'm still not really too high on taking the full game. I don't know what we're going to see from Tyrod. The Dolphins don't have a great defense, but the Tyrod Taylor we saw picked apart a Jaguars' terrible defense. So was that more of the defense giving him that, or was it Tyrod being good, finding the right players? Again, there's just a lot of question marks with this full game. The only thing that I am still looking at, and honestly at this point I'm kind of just going to be off of it, but I'm going to be looking at the first quarter line. If it is just a pick'em, meaning that it's Dolphins -0, I'll look to play the Dolphins like a money line play at that point for the first quarter. But I'm not laying anything. If it's even Dolphins like -2.5 or whatever, I'm not taking it. Again, I just don't know what Tyrod's going to do. I don't think he'll do enough to score more than the Dolphins, because I do expect the Dolphins to come out of that first quarter with a touchdown. But I am not putting it past Tyrod that he could also get his own touchdown in that first quarter. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll see what the line comes out with. As far as other plays on here, the only other one that I really wanted to bring up was the Patriots and the Panthers. Again, the under has moved for that first half. The under overall, again, we took the under 41 to begin the week. It had gotten bet down to 40.5 and even 40 in some spots for the full game. And the same exact thing happened here. It got down to 40, and the other end of the spectrum, the other sharp people came in and said that's too low. They bet it back up. It's back up to where it initially started at now, at the under 41. So I don't really expect this number to move any. Keep in mind, again, 41 is a somewhat of a key number for these lower scoring games. So I don't expect it to be changed really much, if at all, between now and kickoff. If it does at any point get to 41.5, I would really love to go ahead and smash that play. But we're going to be relying on the public to come in really heavy on the over. And one, I don't see this game as being a very public game. I don't see a lot of support for either of these teams within the betting market. But secondly, I don't see the people who are going to be involved with this game, I don't see them running to bet the over in this game with two good defenses. The Patriots -3 is what we took at the beginning of the week. We got it at Patriots -3 when it was at it was at -140. So right now, I believe it's actually just a little bit lower. 1 second to see what it's come down to. It's at -132. So it's about the same as what we took it at here. So that hasn't really moved much. But still, if you are going to be looking to take that game, I would be looking to buy the hook and get it down to Patriots -3. The 3.5 it lends itself to too many backdoor possibilities and just an outright loss. But that's about it, guys, for today's video. Again, not really much has changed, so I'm sorry there's not really a whole lot here other than maybe some props to look at. Let me know if there is anything that you guys are interested in, any plays whatsoever, whether it's football, basketball, boxing, UFC, whatever you guys are into watching out there. Let me know. I'm really curious as to what everybody else is doing out there, and if there's anything at all I can help you with, anything I can break down for you, I'd be more than happy to do it. Just put it in the comments below. Oh, you know what? Sorry. Before we get out of here, I do want to show you guys this. I have gone ahead and just updated the numbers for the grading algorithm. So I'm going to show you a new breakdown for basically what we would consider like the power rankings. Still have the Rams at number 1. Their grade has come down just a little bit. They were at like 33 point something last week. Really, that was indicative of the Texans and their like fourth quarter heroics that were absolutely for nothing. But as far as grading is concerned, it did hurt them a little bit because the defensive EDSR went down. They gave up a lot of plays in that fourth quarter, and it just kind of sticks with the stats. So, again, a little bit of a decrease there. Buccaneers, Saints, Cardinals, Raiders, that's your top 5. Then the Packers, Titans, Ravens, Cowboys, and Bills, and that is your top 10 as far as power rankings are concerned. Again, the Bills, and you've probably heard me say this before, they're really hurt by not having won a one-score game. And that's something that I'd be kind of concerned with if I'm Sean McDermott right now. Not so much that, it's not a good team. Obviously they are. But when you get into the playoffs, it's much less likely that you're going to be able to just blow out every team you come out against. And you're probably going to have to win some of these games in an ugly fashion. It's going to be, games that are won by coaching that manages the clock, some play calling that maybe, like 4-minute offenses, things like that. And they have not really shown that they can do that just yet. So, and I could be mistaken, but I think even my last year algorithm didn't have them winning too many one-score games. So that is a point of emphasis for the Bills, or it should be, I should say, that they need to start working on. As far as these top 10 teams, I don't know if anything is really surprising at this point. I think all of these teams are favorites as of right now to make the playoffs, or at least to have some sort of playoff aspiration, or maybe even a playoff run, depending on what team you're looking at. The only team I would say is a little fluky, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek, is the Packers, and that is because, like I said in the previous video, they have won the last 2 games in a very lucky fashion. The last game that they had against the Cardinals, again, the Cardinals had many opportunities to win, and basically they just gave that game to the Packers. The game before that was Washington. Washington had many chances to score, to be more competitive in that game. Tyler Heineke had like a weird touchdown that didn't actually count as a touchdown. It was just an odd game. The Packers win, and it looked convincing if you just saw the score, but the game itself did not play out that way. So while the stats all say one thing, I am very concerned that the Packers are maybe not as good as they're looking statistically. Aside from that, the Packers have had the second easiest strength of schedule to date. So that is also another little bit of a concern for the Packers. The Rams have also had the 4th easiest strength of schedule, but the Rams are consistently blowing out bad teams and just beating the hell out of teams that have no business lining up against from the Rams, which leads me to believe that, yeah, they've had an easy schedule, but the Rams are doing what they should be doing against these easy teams, whereas the Packers are involved in a lot more, let's say, competitive games. And like in this case, they've actually had 3 one-score games while they've been playing some easy competition. That's not a good indication. That means that you're playing a lot of close games with teams that you probably shouldn't really have close games with. But again, statistically, their success rates are doing well. Their win-loss record looks well. I really think that's going to come to an end. Now, I'm not betting them this week with the Chiefs, but I'm also not going to lay 7 points with this Chiefs team, regardless of backup quarterback or not. So, anyways, just wanted to give you a breakdown on the updated power rankings. If there's a team that you want to know about, or if you just want a copy of this spreadsheet, just again, let me know. Put the comments below. Give me your email, your Twitter, however you want to get it. I'll send it over to you. Be happy to share all of my information. And not only that, it will be free. So every week, I'm going to have a sale going on. All the picks are free. The report cards are free. Everything is free for a limited time only, which is the NFL season. So you guys have a great weekend. Good luck out there, and thanks again for tuning in.